Hey Internet, it's Jesse at Ish Guitars here with Jay Locke, and we are looking today at the new Spector Dimension bass and Ethos bass. These suckers were just released today, if you're watching today, that is. And I'm super excited to do a video on them. These are the most exciting new basses out of Spector in a long time, and I am stoked. The Ethos is not what we're talking about in this video, but there's going to be a link below in the description so you can check out that video where we get really super in-depth. In this video, we're getting super in-depth with the Dimension, this crazy multi-scale monstrosity. And that's a good monstrosity, by the way.
Great monstrosity.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about the price. We're going to talk about the dope stuff, as I like to call it.
Not so
dope stuff.
Yeah.
And also a brief history of multi-scale basses in general and some of the competitors to this bass and why this is so trendy right now. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the price. This guy is $20.99 for a 5-string, $19.99 for the 4-string. So that puts it right in the thick of it with all of the other cool multi-scale basses that are out there. You've got Dingwalls, which are actually a little bit more expensive for the most part for a similar spec. These guys are around $2,500. You've got some Kiesels in there. You've got some Strandbergs in there. They're a little more expensive too.
It's definitely on the lower side.
This is actually on the lower side. Most basses are $2,500-ish or more for a multi-scale bass. Ibanez did just come out with some that are a little bit cheaper, but they're also Ibanez's, so you might be into that or you might not be, depending who you are. A lot of people aren't. But this is a really good value for the money, and Spector, this is Spector really doing something innovative here. And going with something new. And you have two colors, by the way. You have super faded black gloss and the haunted moss metallic, they call it, which is a really, really cool color. It's pretty badass.
I love that one.
I love that too. I like the gloss on this more. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. So multiscale has been around for a long time, like a really long time, hundreds of years technically. But it really got popular in the last, I don't know, decade,
20
right? Let's
years,
just say maybe not even 20. Dingwall really was the ones that really first started bringing it to bassists who tend to be a little bit more innovative, of course. Way better than guitarists. Back in the 90s, of course, those got pretty big. Now in the 2010s region, guitarists finally figured out what it was, and for their crazy 8-string, 9-string monstrosities, those crazy things, it got really popular for those lower tunings and things like that. So in the bass world, you really have always had Dingwall as the big contender there. They actually licensed the Novak's fan fret system, which was patented even before they were around. So they're the only ones that can call them fan fret.
Multiscale.
These are multi-scale because fan fret is a patented trademark thing. But the concept is very sound. I'm a huge fan of multi-scale anything. We did a special run of PRSs in private stock. We have the exclusive right, I guess you could say, to 6-string multi-scales at PRS. I had to pitch Paul on that and all that. So I'm a big fan. The way it works, essentially, if you're not familiar, is that if you think about a piano, okay? If you look inside a piano, a big grand piano, you see that there's kind of a thing that goes like this, right? Each string, when you're tuning an instrument, if you want to tune a string to E, it needs to be a certain gauge and a certain length to resonate perfectly at that frequency. So in a piano, each string has its own length and its own gauge. Every one is very specific because it only has to play one note.
Yeah.
And that's why they sound so great. In a guitar, they're a big compromise, actually. Guitars don't really work that great. You have usually a straight nut here, and so each string, it gets kind of as close as they can get, right?
It's a little imperfect.
But the scale lengths aren't right. And that's why you can have intonation issues and stuff like that, especially when doing different tunings. And in general, guitars don't sound super bell-like. Now, Spectors, as you are probably familiar if you're watching this video, are known for their piano-like tone, which is the reason why we all love them. They're fat, they're warm, they're clear, they cut through a mix, but they also fill up the bottom. That's the thing you always hear about Spectors, is piano-like tone. So the reason why I'm so excited about this is because this even goes farther in that piano-like tone category in Spector to bring it to correcting those scale lengths the best we can to get these notes to ring even better and even clearer. We're also a big Dingwall dealer, so I'm very familiar with these too. I'm a huge fan of those bases as well. But for some reason, this just
it feels right.
fits on a Spector. It's so good. It just feels like something that they kind of should, I'm not going to say should have been doing all along, but you know, it fits. It really does fit. And I don't think, I know you're all going to be like, oh, well, they're just, you know, to try to be trendy or whatever. I don't know. I think that this could be something long-term that it really is going to stick around. So let's talk about the dope stuff
and the not so dope
not
stuff.
so dope. So on the dope stuff, a bunch of cool things. This is a Korean-built base. When I pick up this base, it's very tough to tell. The only telling sign to me, actually, we'll leave that for the not so dope stuff. We'll get there in a second. It feels really good. Really cool. On the back, this is a 5-piece neck, which you really have never seen before in a Spector.
Yeah.
They have, I'm not going to say they never
one-offs.
have, but generally, Spectors have a 3-piece maple neck. They don't have those extra stringers in there. They give it a little more strength, a little more rigidity. Some people say it changes the tone. I don't know how much a little tiny stringer actually really affects it, but you know, I'm sure it does a little bit. So that's super cool to see, super trendy, not a bad thing whatsoever, and it just looks cool. The colors obviously are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like super dope, ultra dope colors. These are USA-based colors, by the way. So these are colors that you usually see on $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 plus Spectors. Super faded black gloss and the haunted moss green. Also, Luminlay side dots, which is awesome.
Just cause it's fun.
They glow. How can you go wrong?
Exactly.
They're awesome. We love Luminlay. I love Luminlay.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Luminlay. It's cool. I love this fretboard, by the way, too. They actually used a Wenge fretboard, which is a first in a Spector production base. Wenge is like the best. Warwick started using it back in the day, and everybody loved it, and everyone still loves it. There's a reason why it's so awesome. Huge fan. It's dense. It sounds great. It's smooth. It looks cool. You can't go wrong. But also, too, if you look, these inlays are super cool. Offset dot inlays.
I love the offsets.
Oh, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? This cool Spector logo at the 12th fret, and it makes the fretboard like a little bit cleaner, but also you still have these dots. I don't know, it's just cool, it's just different. It looks really great. Also, I'm gonna put this in the super dope category, is the Fishman Electronics. This comes with the Fluences, which are trendy, AF, as the kids say these days. And that is an acronym for a bad word, so I can't say it. But they're really cool. They do sound great. Now, we also have another video. We're going to talk about these in a little bit later. We're going to do a playing demo for you, of course. But we have another video that's going to be in the description below, too, that compares a Spector with Fishmans in it to a Spector without Fishmans, as close as we could get it.
Right.
So it'll give you kind of a tone reference there. But these are really cool. The same Fishman system for the preamp and this cool switch here, etc. Also in the dope category, I'd put this bridge. This is a hip shot individual bridge. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Made actually only about an hour away from us here in Interlake, New York. Oh, what was the other thing? Oh, the body is great. A couple things in here to note. This base has the proper Spector contoured body, so it fits really nice on you. It also has a battery box, which the Ethos does not, interestingly enough.
Kind of weird.
But just to be able to pop that battery open is like...
super quick.
Yeah, once again, it's 2021, like we should all have this. Ash body on this guy, so you get very nice, modern, clear, you know, almost a little bit scooped, I guess you could say, tones. But one thing I think is really neat on this too, is that this bass, just like the Euros, has a slice of walnut between the swamp ash body and the poplar barrel top.
Oh, interesting.
That's how they've always done it on the Euro basses, and I think it's cool. Again, a little more structure, a little more, you know, tone forming there, I guess you could say, right? Now, the other thing, the last thing I'll say about the actual body construction of this bass, it's really cool, is that this is built just like a USA bass. It has a very thick poplar burl top. So usually on a Korean-built, Chinese-built, Indonesian-built instrument, if they have a figure top on them, they're a veneer. The veneer's like,
Tiniest thing ever.
yeah, I'm going like this. No, it's like literally the width of a human hair. Like it's
Microscopic,
super, maybe not human hair. It's super thin. It doesn't do anything for the bass. It just makes it look cool, right? This is actually a huge piece of poplar.
Yeah.
And because the body's curved like this, I mean, just kind of eyeballing it, that's a piece of poplar. It probably starts out about that thick, a couple inches thick. That's really impressive. That's really, really cool. So not only are you getting the sound of the poplar burl, you get the cool look.
It's not just aesthetics. It's
yeah,
you actually get some of the tone that you want.
And poplar sounds great. It's warm, it's aggressive, it's a great, great tone wood. And so matched with the ash and the body slice in the center, the construction on this bass is phenomenal. Okay, so not dope stuff.
Not so dope stuff.
Not quite so dope. A couple things, and I ragged on this in our other video about the ethos as well, is the tuners are the same tuners that are used in the less expensive Legend basses and stuff like that in Spector's Korean line. Now, they're good tuners.
Yeah, they work.
We've sold these basses
they
for
work
over a
all day.
decade now. They're great tuners. They work great. There's no problem with them. But like, I don't know, it's $2,000. I just kind of want
A little bump up.
I just want fancier tuners.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just picky, and I want them to at least say Spector on the back, or make me feel like I'm getting something better than in the $800 line. 'Cause this is a big difference in price. So that's one little thing. The other little thing, also similarly on the headstock, is this weird string bar that's in here, this retainer. So to explain this a little bit better, multiscale instruments are difficult to make when it comes to a headstock. The headstock is the trademark piece of any guitar company. Because of the landmark case that happened with Fender back in the day when everyone was copying Strats, the courts determined that the only thing you can trademark is a headstock, not the body shape, which is stupid.
Weird.
It's really stupid. But what that means is when you go to make a new headstock, if you make a new headstock, it's not your trademark headstock, et cetera, right? So when you do that on a multiscale, it gets a little weird because really this headstock should be sideways in order to make it really properly fit this.
Yeah.
So some companies have like a weird gap right here that people get really skeeved out about. And it does, it looks weird, it looks unfinished. So Spector did a great job of finishing this out and extending the headstock, filling this, made a new truss rod cover, etc. The problem is that because this side of the fretboard ends up so far away from the tuner, like look how far that is, right? It means you have to do some sort of string tree or string retainer up here in order to keep everything in line. Now, this does have a tilt back headstock, which is what you want. Helps your string tensions to be better, means you usually don't have to use a retainer, etc. So this is a nice feature, right? Gibsons go this way. Fenders don't, they use the string tree. It's cheaper to make something that doesn't have a tilt back headstock. So it has a nice tilt back headstock, really nice volute on the neck, stuff like that, but it's just so far away, you have to use a string retainer if these things aren't gonna ring and be weird. The problem is, the reason why it's on the not so dope list, it's just ugly.
Yeah, for function, it works.
It's just ugly.
But yeah, aesthetically it's
just
weird.
like, ugh. I look at it and it's kind of like, oh yeah, ugh. I don't know. It's just,
yeah, I'm with you.
It's like a big old zit. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But it's functional. It is what it is. Other than that,
there's not much other not bad stuff.
Yeah, one actually last thing I will give you, and by the way, this is the first time anybody from Korg USA who owns Spector now is hearing this, so hey John, hey Taylor. I hope we aren't stepping on your feet too much.
We're being honest. But
this is this is legit review here. The one other thing I don't really like is the satin finish that's on that bass. The gloss on this one feels good. It does feel a little bit Korean, I guess you could say. I mentioned this in the Ethos video too. Korean finishes, for whatever reason, tend to be a touch stickier, a tiny bit. You can just tell. If you're around instruments like us all the time, all day, then you can tell. But it really doesn't bug me much at all. And the gloss looks great. The gloss feels great. This bass just feels, in your hands, that touch just feels amazing. And I'm very tactile when it comes to instruments. I think everybody is because you're touching them a lot, right?
So what do you think about the satin one?
It just, this satin doesn't, it's almost a little bit, I don't want to say rough. Rough is almost too rough of a word for it. But it just, I don't know, the texture of it doesn't feel high-end. And this is a $2,000 bass, right? So you just want it to feel really good. And you can tell that again, it's like this one very obviously to me when I touch it, I'm like, okay, this is built in Korea, right, for this bass.
Right.
When I feel this, I don't so as much, and I don't exactly know why, but it's something about this satin finish on here that just...
It's a touch thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't, the touch isn't, like if that bass had gloss on it, it would just look, I don't know. You know, and that's always a difficult thing with matte instruments in general. Even in our USA builds that we do a lot of, sometimes you can get a matte bass that's incredible, but like the finish doesn't pop quite as much because gloss will always make the figuring pop a little bit more. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's the actual feel of the instrument. Yeah. In the USA's, they feel totally different because they use a totally different finish process. So whatever is on these ones, it's just not so dope. It's not so dope. Yeah, we said dope like 15,000 times in this video. All right, so let's play this baby. So first thing I'm going to say is that we have another video that we compare the Fishman Electronics in a Spector Euro Limited Edition to a normal Spector Euro with their traditional EMGs. So if you want to get a reference point, which I highly recommend, go watch that video. It's in the link below, and you'll be able to understand kind of the differences in the actual electronic system before we're talking about the differences in tone that come from the multiscale. Now, without further ado, we're going to play all of these pickups and also use this fancy switch that Fishman gives us, which gives us classic passive sounds and also more modern hi-fi sounds. It's very versatile. So straight out the gate, I want to show you this switch. So our dark glass is set all flat on our amp. Our EQ is all flat. We're going to be using both pickups. I'm just going to play a riff and switch through this pickup selector, or I should say tone selector, so that you can hear the differences between each setting. Ready? Okay, so what we just did there, we had our hi-fi setting, modern type of deal first. Second, we had our full range, which is, you know, there's not really as much EQ. And then third, that kind of funky sounding one you heard, that was the passive vintage sound that you get out of these pickups. Obviously, you heard a lot more treble roll-off, a lot more mid-range aggressiveness.
A little classic.
It's supposed to sound more like old school. Yeah. Now, that one probably didn't sound super great on my example of playing because I'm playing more progressive type stuff. But I figure everyone who's buying this thing is probably going to be a guy who loves Nolly Get Good and Periphery, so we're just going to keep it right in that kind of area. So to hear the front pickup now, I'm going to go back to our hi-fi setting and then give you front pickup
just the
only.
neck.
Yep, exactly. EQ is all centered still. So here we go with the neck. Bridge pickup. Cool. And here's centered both pickups.
That's a winner right there.
Space sounds
That's a winner.
Sick. I've been playing it a lot off camera. Both together, nail it.
Yeah, that's the spot. Yeah.
The neck pickup sounds great too. The bridge pickup gets a little bit thin for me, but I see why it could have a lot of usefulness. Again, this is only on one of our 3 tone variations,
that was the hi-fi.
Yeah, this is on our hi-fi setting.
setting.
So it's a little scooped also too on that setting too, but I just like that setting a lot. It just freaking rips. So also you should hear a little bit of fingerstyle stuff. So for the fingerstyle, I'm going to start out by going to our classic setting with both pickups fully on.
Kind of frame of reference if you're having a more traditional, just passive guitar, passive bass.
Yeah, playing kind of some funky stuff here. And then we'll go through this switch, and then we'll also go through the pickups. So first. Not quite as much variation between the two
the full
active
range
settings.
And the hi-fi.
Yep, exactly. When you're in the finger style like that, I think you just don't notice it quite as much. But great sound, all very, very poignant. Interestingly, in these basses, you get this sort of like low mid, just like like it
It's
just
got a punch.
It's just so punchy, especially in these lower registers where this fan starts to get bigger. So now we are going to we'll leave it just on the hi-fi setting for now, just so you can hear the pickups. We'll go for the neck pickup. Here's the bridge. And both together. It's tough to beat that 2 pickup sound.
It's really impressive how the B string never gets lost. Like, that's one of those things with 5 strings that I always feel like it gets muddy or it gets a little kind of wonky and just it's so low it's hard to deliver.
Exactly, and that's why I'm playing the 5 string in this video and specifically playing all these low register stuff. It's so clear, and that's what's a huge part of this bass. Not to say it's not important on a 4 string. Also, we're playing in standard tuning right now too, so if you drop tune a 4, especially if you're doing alternate tunings, all that stuff is so important. But just the low notes on these basses,
they deliver.
Fly out of there.
Yeah,
it's like Concorde jet. Whoosh, like
the whole building here is legitimately just
it's
shaking.
going crazy. This place is gonna fall in on us. It's nuts. Yeah, I love the way this bass sounds and plays. I can't get over it. Okay, so we've played it, we've talked about it, and the goods, the bads, the uglies. I want one. I want one for myself.
Keep it.
I can't just keep every
them all.
bass.
We'll keep them all.
You own a guitar store, and it gets real weird real quick. This is a really phenomenal release from Spector. I really hope that they let us do some of this crazy
some fun stuff.
multi-scale stuff in the USA, which is where I kind of live in terms of ordering and things. So we'll see what happens down the road. But my God, you should buy one of these. It's really great, and the price point is right compared to all the other competitors that are in the market. Keep looking for our Dingwall comparison video that's going to come out here. You'll see a link in the description. Also, the Euro comparison video of these pickups. They're all super awesome. And yeah, you know, if you want to buy one of these, you should buy it maybe from us.
They'll disappear.
Maybe from us, you know, because we like selling stuff, because that's kind of what we do here. But yeah, they're going to go quick. Grab one and enjoy it. We got to sign off. We got a customer here we got to go spend some time with. See you guys.